episode 19, Rolling with the Fox. So, guys, we actually, my head is still spinning. We did a like 3-minute live on Instagram and YouTube, and I was difficult to corral. I was all over the place. So, anyways, we previewed a couple of topics. So let's go with the simplest one. So one of the question was, just lay down for me for the arm triangle. So the tactile cue, which I'm reading as, well, Leah's reading as, where do I kind of focus on the feeling of the constriction? So we covered this topic quite a bit a few weeks ago, so I don't really want to spend too much time on this. But basically, when I do arm triangle, I tilt it slightly away and focus on my shoulder rolling forward. So basically, this is not a lot, and my head is pushing into his carotid. So this is not a very heavy sort of usage of your arm muscles. It's literally just rolling forward, which cuts off the circulation to his far side carotid, and there's enough constriction on the closer one that this is very powerful, very difficult to escape. I've played around with this. Guys have been like sending me videos like, I do it like this. Well, guys, I've been doing this for 30 years. I used to do it like this. I do it like this now. There's a reason for it. Again, I go back to empirical evidence as to what works. So that's topic one. Hopefully that answers your question. Live questions get priority. So, but let me shoot out a couple of topics we also talked about on YouTube and Instagram. So when the guy turtles, right? Generally speaking, when the guy turtles, so if I snap him down, I'm north-south. Generally speaking, if I can get my grips, I'm going to go into guillotines and or anaconda / Darcis and so forth from north-south, if I can get the grips. If I cannot get the grips, or if I basically, passing guard and I wind up top side control, generally speaking, especially if the guy is very elusive and hard to control, what I'll do is as soon as I get here, I do a quick rolling back take. That usually works really, really well against guys that are hard to corral. And third one, this is what I try, if I can try to break him down into bottom side control, and I can attack from here. The one way that I avoid, so the way that I tend to attack is either north-south or perpendicular. This is the way I try to avoid floating, and especially if you put your leg between their legs, then you're giving the guy an opportunity to do a rolling leg attack, and now I have to retreat. So I try to avoid this, where I'm floating on their hips, unless I'm yanking him backwards, okay? One thing, guys, this is dangerous. I strongly discourage you from doing. You see that with beginners, is hunting for the neck while their butt is higher than their head. Because if Keon bucks, don't do it because my neck is already. But if he bucks, guess which part of your body is going to hit the ground first? It's going to be your head, and you cannot tuck in. There is no place to tuck in your head. So avoid that at all costs, because that is, the next day you're going to be like this. Okay? Avoid that at all costs. And the third question we had is, how do we deal with a leg weave pass? Generally speaking, I make sure I frame and I go into inversions. And that's completely changes sort of the dynamics of what he's hunting for. So we have basically two topics, because the first one I think is very simple. It's this part of the shoulder that I want to kind of roll forward. So it's not using a lot of energy to hold this. That's when the arms burn out. It's very simple, this, and I can stay there for quite a long time. So we have two topics: turtle attacks, which we've covered before, but I'd like to add that one where I saw yesterday people floating by the hips. I try to avoid that one. And then like we've passed, and we have live questions, so let's go with that.
First, we have a bunch of good mornings. MJ, John's watching. Elad, Bob Adams.
What's up, guys?
Danny said, Fox, thank you for the great instruction. And then we had a follow-up question from last week.
Okay.
B4D MASH. He asked the question last week regarding the north-south escape. that we showed
Okay.
last week. So his question is, how do you know when his legs are together as you rotate, as you can't see them? That's
So
his
you
first
need to
question.
feel that. So basically, when I'm like this, there's a lot of, you can feel, okay? So now, brief moment, there is uneven distribution of weight. You need to feel that. That is experience. That is just playing with it. You need to feel it, okay? So again, as you train more and more often, guys, you know, one of the biggest things that you need to do is when you go to class, I recommend that you come in with a plan, like especially for rolling, what you want to work on, what you have, what items in your arsenal that you need improvement on, or you know maybe you saw something in class that you really like fits into your game well, and then you try to do that. I prefer a guy, you know, like when I see somebody from my academy in class rolling, trying to hit the move of the day, that's beautiful because they're trying to incorporate that into their game. I'd rather see that even if they fail than you know him nailing the guy 20 times. You know that's you know just kind of going through things that you already know, especially if it's somebody that you know you generally tend to dominate. Play around with things. That's what you're supposed to be doing in class. In competition, it's a different story. You go with the tried and true. All right, but basically, anytime you have somebody on top of you, so when they're here, right, the weight is pretty evenly distributed. Right now, I'm posting more heavily on the right hand, and then it transferred to the left, the right moves, and now the leg moves. So it happens a lot faster, but that is the way that you can recognize. You need to feel it. Again, there's a benefit. Some people poo-poo on that, but you know, I personally am a strong believer. You know, training with you know, in the blue basement at Henzo's for a long, long time, not years, decades. You know, a lot of the top world-class guys train, you know, they don't go balls to the wall every single day. You know, you need to incorporate, you know, how do you bring in some new elements? How do you experiment? So when you kind of flow roll, and flow rolling, sometimes people say no submission. No. Flow rolling can be a submission. But when I hit a submission and flow rolling, it needs to be, it's lower intensity, but it's precise. Now, then I loosen up and let the guy move on. So the benefit for me is that he shows me where if I were to fail in that execution, where it's going to go further. And for him, it's a benefit because he learns how to escape things if they're not perfectly tight. So that helps you kind of not be like, you know, like in that fight or flight syndrome where you know bang your heads and you're going hard, and at that point you go in autopilot. It helps you because now you can feel things. Okay, I feel his weight shifting. Now's the time. Okay, so that does. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, he also had a second part to that
Okay.
question.
This is why we're doing live.
Based off of what Enrique, this is the way he spelled it, had asked about taking the back. He said you briefly showed it how to do it last week, but can you give a little bit more details about how you would take the back?
From where?
From the bottom of north-south. If they're up higher by your
Oh,
chest, then
okay,
you would
okay.
convert.
Yeah, we can do that. So, a lot of times when the guy gets top and north-south, right? First of all, I don't, pause shut for a second. I don't want my arms here. If usually, sometimes if one of them is underneath his arm, kind of an underhook, the other one, I need to swim. I need to get both of them under. So right now, Keon is on my hips. That's when we're going to use the escape from last week. If you don't know what it is, guys, go to the episode. Or if you have the app, then you can actually, it's tagged. Things are classified, so it's a lot easier to find things. Now, if I can slide further down, this is, yeah, keep your head on me. Yeah, this is when I'm going to try to hunt for the back. The mistake that people make is they try to get both feet and they fail. I don't try to get both feet. I figure out which side is a little bit more accessible, and I try to get one. Once I have that hook, So this is one of the possible outcomes. So again, when you're in that position, you're kind of heisting your body over theirs. Don't try to go both hooks in at the same time because usually you will fail. You need that little bit of an angle to get to kind of at least reach. You don't be afraid to grab with your hand because now I have that connection. I become like a backpack. Yeah. You want to be a backpack. So when you do that, I'm going to go over it again. I'm looking to put a hook in one side, and then I figure it out. Sometimes there's an arm bar. Sometimes I get the second hook and they take the back. But immediately from that point on, once that first hook is in, I start to, now I'm on my way to not just escape, but actually counterattack him. So if he bails out, it's okay because now I'm free. I'm not on the bottom side control. But there's possible other outcomes. So let's look at it again. Now this only works if his head is on the hips. Check out the episode from a couple weeks ago. If he's higher up on your shoulders, that's when I hunt for this. And I'm looking to place my foot in and on the backpack. Then I use this. So basically the tension is in my left thigh. You could see already, huh? So it's kind of these oddball, this goes into the intricate pain compliance. Because once I have that arm isolated, I attack the shoulder or the elbow. Guys, this is one of the central principles of my game, intricate pain compliance. I use that concept in a lot of techniques, and I encourage people, especially if you're smaller or slower, this is your way to dominate bigger people. Let me repeat that. Intricate pain compliance. This should be on a t-shirt.
Pretty smooth.
Yeah. The problem with these things, guys, they come out very nice, but I can't, 30 seconds later, I cannot remember them.
I write them down. I got you.
So intricate pain compliance is a way for smaller, weaker people to dominate bigger people because you take away their ability to move freely. And usually I accomplish that by, once I get the elbow above their shoulder, it's all over for them. So they know once they're here, they're very strong. They can like literally bench press you 8 times. Once they're here, it's like, oh crap, I'm being stretched out. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. You can control a guy with biceps like this. How do I know that? Because I've done it. You're not that big.
I'm not that big.
I know. Once you're here, guys, now guess what? They cannot move to the left. They cannot move forward. They might be able to move to the right, but very gingerly, and they start to arch. So now I know exactly how they can move. So this is, I use it with uregatame. I use that with the alternative back take. I use it with triangles. I use it with split guard. I use it, it's usually a lot of times if the guy escapes that initial sort of, let's call it orthodox, old school, traditional submission, this allows you to follow that submission either to completion or to actually put them into some other danger that results in a follow-up submission immediately thereafter. So let's look at this again, guys. This is kind of, but you understand that again, if his head is on the hips, I use the escape from a few weeks ago. So if I can slide him up, yeah. If he's high up on my shoulders, what I'm going to do is get my hook inside. And then I just, once that I use that hook, I don't have the second hook. I don't need the second hook. This is enough. Tap. So this is the way he's going to have to move. That's called intricate pain compliance. He moves straight into another submission. But I know exactly the only way he can move. There is no other way he can move. This is what I want for your jiu-jitsu guys. It's a beautiful thing. It takes time, guys. It takes time. It takes study. It takes experimentation. It takes good training partners. But this is what I want for everybody's jiu-jitsu. This is a jiu-jitsu that I believe ultimately is the idea of jiu-jitsu where a weaker, Helio and Carlos were, probably 135, 140 pounds soaking wet. That is the point.
We had time for only one last question. Fox, do you have any exercises that you would suggest to boost bridging strength for kids, especially?
Yeah, bridge. I don't bridge that well, to be honest with you, because my lower back has been compromised for decades. But but bridging strength. Wrestlers are usually really good at bridging. So what you got to be careful because especially kids don't have developed muscles, especially in the neck. Because the wrestlers will bridge on the neck. So I tend to probably prefer to bridge on the shoulders versus the neck. But I think if you want to increase your bridging abilities, drill bridging. But again, you may have to make adjustments. So this is probably so I don't want to bridge on my neck because right now I told Kiana, I said to make sure I'm on your right because I have this much mobility on my left and this much on my right. My philosophy is every once in a while if I lay in a poor way and watching something, that's usually what happens. I'd like not to blame jiu-jitsu. But I tend to bridge more on my shoulders than the neck. But if you have enough strength, you got to build up to it. But this is probably the highest I can bridge. But that's all you need. This, I would just bridge. Try to focus on your shoulders versus the head. But the other thing is, guys, one of the things, this is very, very, very important. So listen to me very carefully. When you're bridging and inverting, make sure that you're constantly thinking about your neck positioning relative to the shoulder. Okay? Because the shoulder is what braces the neck should things go south. Should they go awry? Should the guy put the weight on you in a way that is potentially, can tweak your neck? Make sure you sort of protect it with the shoulder. So when I'm bridging, so if the guy turns me over and my head hits the ground, I'm protecting it with my left shoulder. Conversely, if I'm bridging the other way, I'm protecting with my right shoulder. I use this a lot. Just hear my guard standing. So when I'm going into inversions, let's assume I'm going for an armbar. As I'm pivoting, as I'm inverting, notice that. I hope the audio is good. Can you give me the microphone, Kiana? Can you reach it?
Of course.
So, as I'm inverting, I'm leading with my right arm, but I'm protecting. So that way, if he puts the weight on me, my neck is protected with my left shoulders. Guys, it takes a long time to get that synchronization together. This is a very important aspect of jiu-jitsu. Just because, we wind up in these weird positions carrying a lot of weight that we did not initially, when we started that movement, we didn't initially intend on that much weight or going in that angle. So you need to always have a backup plan. And we're out of time, guys. Now we're going to the app. Guys, if you don't have first of all, guys, there's still some spots available in Sicily Camp. Most of the Czech camp is sold out. Sicily Camp, reach out to Aaliyah at silverfoxbjj.com. Go to the app, guys. If you don't have it, you can get 3 free days. You can play around with it, see if you like it. Guys, it's getting really, really good reviews. We had 1 2-star review. Basically, the guy's problem with it was, this is amazing, but I need more free time. That's the 2-star review. Other than that, it's people love it. And so you can either go find the link or just go to www. Do I have to say that anymore?
No, I shouldn't.
Just silverfoxbjjglobal.com. I will see you on the app side.